Hey friends, I have some soul food for you today. We are gonna do some targeted exercises for foot strength and mobility. You will need some supplies. So one thing that you're going to need is a bowl and some small things, maybe like 6 or 7 small things. So these are polished rocks from my child's rock collection. That's one thing that you'll need. Another thing that you'll need is if you have a resistance band, do that. Another thing that could work instead of a resistance band would be a sturdy rubber band. So not a flimsy one that could potentially snap on you, but one of those wider, thicker ones. That's an option. You could also use a yoga strap or a towel that's folded up or a belt. Any of those things could work. They're not going to provide quite the stretch that a resistance band would, but you can still make it work. So to begin, we're going to start with the feet pelvis width apart and parallel. So your toes pointing straight ahead. You don't want your toes out any wider than your heels. And then you're just going to roll your feet in and out. So you're rolling to the inner edges of your feet and then you're rolling to the outer edges, the pinky toe side of your foot. I should also say that all of these exercises can be done sitting in a chair. If that feels better for you and your body, please feel free to grab a chair and sit down for this, especially if you're working on balance. So look down at your feet as you're going here. And while you're rotating in and rolling out, just look at your toes, look at the color of your foot, kind of keep in mind how much circulation is happening down there. And can you feel or notice if this activity or the activities that we're gonna do as we go through this class are gonna change the amount, the look and feel of your feet and how you feel the blood is circulating down there. So go ahead and just roll in and out a few more times. And if you are standing and this feels funny for your ankles or knees, that's a cue that this would be a good thing to practice while sitting down. Okay, so go ahead and stop and just have your feet flat on the ground now. And we're gonna tune into our individual toes, or groups of toes, I should say. So I'd like for you to look at your feet and see if you can pick up just your big toes on your left and right foot, just your big toes. As you do that, look at the other 4 toes on each foot. Are they gripping the ground and holding on for dear life, or are they long and strong? Can you try to keep them just long, strong, and relaxed? After you've had your big toes up and you've looked around at them for a little while, go ahead and put your big toes down and then lift the other 4 toes up away from the ground. And again, look down at your feet and notice, are all of those other 4 little toes, are they all lifted away from the ground at the same rate, or are some of them higher than the others? Like, is your pinky toe still on the ground? One of mine is still on the ground. It's okay. No judgment. Go ahead and put those 4 toes down, little toes down, and now big toes lift again. And you're gonna alternate lifting big toes and little toes. Back and forth. Big toes and little toes. Can you feel your feet and the muscles in your feet starting to wake up? Maybe if you take a break from looking at your feet and try to do it without looking, you might notice that you get a little confused, or your feet get a little confused about what's going on and what you're asking them to do. That's happening for me right now. So I'm going to take a break and look down at my feet. One more time. Big toes, little toes. Relax. Maybe bend your knees a little bit, shake it out. Now we're gonna do a top of the foot stretch. Again, you can do this sitting in a chair. if you want. Just take your right foot back behind you and put the top of your foot on the ground. So you might feel a great stretch here. If you do, check that box, hang out. If you don't feel much stretch or much sensation, there's some things that you can do to increase the load. So one thing that you could do is to isometrically drag your back foot forward, to drag your right foot forward. That's one thing you can do. Another thing you can do is to step your right foot back further, okay? You can also play around with bending your back knee and seeing how that feels. Of course, if you are standing like I did just now, you can hold on to the wall if you need some extra support. Okay, and let's go ahead and switch. So step your right foot forward and your left foot back. Curl the toes under. So it's the toenail side of your toe that is on the ground. And again, if you feel a good stretch, stay there, hang out and breathe. If you want to up it a little bit, up the intensity a little bit, options would be dragging that left foot forward. Another option would be stepping the left foot back a little bit more. And another option would be bending the back knee. Those are all going to change the experience of this load here for your foot and ankle. Maybe you even feel the stretch up into your shin. Just pay attention. Okay, and go ahead and step your left foot forward. Now, this next exercise is called short foot. So if you imagine that you are trying to pick up the ground underneath your feet, that's what we're going to be doing. It's also kind of lifting up your arches, and it's going to make your foot look visibly shorter. So I'll turn sideways so that you can see that, and I'll stagger my feet so that you can see it as well. So you start out just kind of relaxed, and then you'll go ahead and squeeze the ball of your foot towards the heel of your foot and your heel towards the ball of your foot. And that's gonna lift your arch away from the ground. Can you do that with relaxed toes? So can you use, instead of scrunching your toes, can you use the bigger muscles in the arch area of the foot? So go ahead and relax, and you can kind of just activate that and relax. You don't have to have your feet staggered like me. In fact, it feels kind of funny to do it this way. I'm just doing this so that you can see what it looks like. I'll do it from the front too. And again, you might have to look at your feet to make the connection in your brain. So make sure you fully relax in between each short foot contraction. So while you're in that short foot position, hopefully you can pick your toes up and wiggle them. Okay, go ahead and relax. Bend your knees, circle your ankles, whatever feels good. And now we're going to get our resistance band, rubber band, strap, towel, whatever. So I will say that if you're using a rubber band, because they're so much shorter than this, you'll probably have to do this sitting down. But if you have the resistance band or the strap or the folded towel, you can do this part standing up. So we're gonna start by placing the resistance band on the ground and hooking the big toe in the resistance band. Then you're gonna use your hands to pull up on the band so that your big toe lifts away from the ground, okay? Your other 4 toes are all staying put, hopefully staying relaxed, okay? So you've got your big toe lifted with the resistance band. Now see if you can press your big toe down towards the ground. So if you are not using something stretchy, if you are using a strap or a towel, your toe is probably not actually going to reach down to the ground. and that's fine. But you can still do that motion of pressing through just the big toe. Notice if your other toes are trying to help press, and see if you can just press the big toe. So you're just pressing and releasing, pressing and releasing. Just the big toe. The other toes are relaxed. So one of the muscles that helps the big toe move, it doesn't just stay in your big toe, it goes through your whole foot. So can you feel some fatigue or activity from this movement in other parts of your foot than just your big toe? I can. Okay, now let's go ahead and stop with the big toe. So I'm gonna step out, and then you're gonna try to get your second two toes in the resistance band or the strap. And so that might take a little wiggling. That's why I like to use the resistance band, because it's super flexible and it's wide enough to kind of cradle the individual toes. So again, you're gonna pull those toes up away from the ground, and maybe as you lift the toes up through the pull, you feel a little stretch. That's cool, okay? Let your big toe relax and your fourth and fifth toes relax, or try to. You can look down and hopefully they are long and relaxed and not gripping. Now, same thing that we did with the big toe, we're gonna do here with the second and third toes. So you're gonna press the second and third toes towards the ground. So we're really isolating here. Your second and third toes might not be very used to moving independently from the other toes. And so again, if you are looking with your eyes, that can really help to wake those up, wake those muscles up. And again, noticing where do you feel the fatigue from this activity. You probably don't have to do very many of these to start to feel like the muscles of your foot are getting tired. Okay. Whew, that's hard. Last one, maybe. Okay. So go ahead and unthread those toes. Okay, now the fourth and fifth toes. You're gonna try to get them snuggled into the strap or the band. So just to be super clear, I'm stepping on the back tail of the resistance band to keep it in place and to provide the tension that I need. So again, you're gonna pull up on the band or the strap or the towel, whatever you're using, to lift your toes away from the ground, trying to keep the other toes nice and relaxed. And then fourth and fifth toes, you're gonna press them down towards the ground. Maybe. This could be a thing where you have to think about it for a while before you can actually do it. And that's okay too. If it feels too hard, like that was feeling a little too hard, so I'm gonna give myself a little, I'm gonna pull less, give myself a little more slack in the resistance band. There we go. Now it's a little easier to move, but I'm still noticing that my other toes are trying to do the work for my fourth and fifth toes. So if that's the case for you, just be really patient with yourself and keep trying. Remember, your fourth and fifth toes are not used to moving independently to one another, or to the other toes, I mean. Noticing where in your foot you feel the connection of fatigue. Okay, great. One more. Whew, My foot's tired. Go ahead and unwind. Now, just take a second to look at your 2 feet and feel what it's like to stand on your 2 feet now that you've really focused on just 1 foot. Feels really different. Let's go over to the other side. Starting again with the big toe. So you're gonna step on the back tail end of your resistance band or your strap or your towel, whatever you're using. If you're using a rubber band, you're just gonna hook it right underneath your toe and pull up. So it'll be much smaller. Okay, the other 4 toes are nice and relaxed. Pulling the big toe up away from the ground and then reaching the toe down towards the ground. So again, if you are using the strap or a belt or a folded towel, something that doesn't have stretch, your toe's probably not gonna move really, but you will still feel, you can still do that press and it'll be an isometric exercise. I'm even wondering if you could do this with a waistband of some stretchy pants. Maybe that would be another thing if you have an old pair that you don't mind stretching out. Look at your other toes. Make sure they're relaxed and not gripping. Okay, and now let's do one more. Okay, let's go over to the second and third toes. So unwind your big toe and hook your second and third toes into the strap and then pull up, okay, so that your second and third toes are lifted away from the ground. Again, maybe you feel a stretch there. That's cool. And then hopefully your big toe and your 4th and 5th toes are nice and relaxed against the ground. So now that you have your 2nd and 3rd toes lifted, go ahead and reach those down towards the ground. And one thing that you can pay attention to is, did one foot or one toe group fatigue more quickly than the other? So I noticed, and this stacks up with what I know about my body already, that my left foot fatigued a lot quicker than my right foot is fatiguing. And that makes sense to me because I know that my left foot is a little weaker than my right foot. So you can think about that. You can think about maybe after you do this, maybe you'd like to go out for a walk and see how, as you walk, how do your toes move as you walk? Okay, noticing deeper into the foot than just the toes, where do you feel some fatiguing muscle? Okay. Last one. Great. Go ahead and unthread those toes. Okay, 4th and 5th toes now. Okay. Keeping in mind that these might be weaker than the rest of your foot because they're just not used to moving independently of the rest of the foot. So hopefully big toe, 2nd toe, 3rd toe are all relaxed on the ground. Just 4th and 5th toe are up, maybe feeling a stretch as we get ready to do these strengthening movements. And then play around with it. See if you can get your 4th and 5th toes to the ground without letting your other toes do the work. So that's really challenging. And if your other toes are wobbling or wiggling or gripping, that's fine. You're gonna learn. If you keep doing this practice, your toes are gonna learn, your foot's gonna learn, your brain is gonna learn, and you'll see some changes over time. You just have to practice. So let's do a few more here with the 4th and 5th. Noticing where you feel that in the body, or I'm sorry, where you feel that in the foot. And go ahead and stop. Okay, so you can put your resistance band off to the side and just take a look at your feet. Stand and feel how your feet feel. A little bit more balanced, maybe. Okay, now let's go ahead and get our small objects. So I'm gonna take them out of the bowl and I'm gonna put them on the ground in a line. Now, this is definitely something that you can do sitting in a chair if you need to take the balance element out of it, because there is the element of, is my foot strong enough to do this? But then there's also the element of standing and balancing while you do it. So if you need to see like, oh, well, what's more of the thing that I need to focus on? Is it my foot strength or my balance? So if you try it standing up and balancing and it feels too difficult, try it sitting down, and then maybe you can work on your balance in other ways. And then you can marry those two skills together by coming back to this exercise later on. So I'm gonna start out with my left foot. I'm gonna stand on my right foot and I'm gonna pick up the rock with my toes and drop it in the bowl. Okay, this one's a little flatter, but I got it. And I'm gonna try to drop them quietly so that there's not a big loud pop on the microphone. So some things to think about while you're here. Can you do your whole row of small things without falling over? Where do you start to feel tired? Can you do the whole row, or do you start to feel too tired to be able to do the row? And is your fatigue muscular fatigue, or is it brain fatigue because your brain's not used to connecting with your muscles in this way? So those are some things to think about. After you do one side, go ahead and unload again. Okay. So I'm gonna balance on my left foot, and I'm gonna use my right foot toes, my monkey toes, to pick everything up. That one was a little loud, sorry. I'm gonna scoot a little closer to my bowl. You can also try doing it without looking, which is what I'm trying to do. It's a little bit trickier. You have to use your feet to find the rocks. And it's good to use things that are different shapes, not all uniform shape. So you can find some smooth stones, some little action figures, some Legos. Oh, I got them all. Anything that you can think of. So hopefully your feet are feeling alive and awake. Hopefully you can look down at your feet and notice a change in color or sensation, which can indicate that you have more circulation or you've just upped the blood flow in your feet through this exercise. And if you have time, I encourage you to walk around your house a little bit barefoot or go outside and take a walk and notice how different the walking action feels now that your feet are really awake. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you next time.